Hello, my name is James Ford and this is my A2 Advanced Portfolio Evaluation. For my portfolio this year I decided to create the front cover, content page and a double page spread for a new original regional magazine along with a billboard and a website promoting this product. I decided to choose this brief because I only got a D for my music magazine last year and felt I still really needed to learn more about magazine production, photography, Photoshop and InDesign. I was also drawn to this brief choice because I wanted to learn how to make a professional looking website, as this skill would help me prepare for my business degree that I hope to do next year. As Bentley said in 1997, the creative process is the rearranging of the old to create the new. What this means is that my product needed to follow some existing regional magazine genre conventions to allow my target audience to recognise it. Before I started my own creative planning, I researched and analysed a lot of existing front covers, contents pages and double page spreads from existing established regional magazines like Cornwall Today, along with their promotional billboards and websites. Doing this research allowed me to gain some understanding of the common codes and conventions I would need to follow across my products to make my work professional looking, fit for purpose and appealing to my target audience. I did, however, realise quite early on in my research that I would have to creatively challenge some of the conventions I saw, as my target audience was younger than the stereotypically older demographic Cornwall Today pitches at. The first thing I developed was my masthead, as this is the main visual point of my brand that would go across all of my products, creating a brand image. I knew it needed to really stand out and almost shout up to my target audience while also following some existing conventions. My masthead follows conventions because of the Lexis, as I called it, R Cornwall. Having the word Cornwall in it clearly connotes to the audience that this is a regional magazine that will represent people who live in the area or who visit it. I put our in front of Cornwall to make the target audience feel a sense of regional identity for the magazine as the county, as it fits Higson's theory, as it is a common persuasive device. My colour palette also follows conventions, as I've used the Cornish flag colours for my masthead, which again ties into Higson's theory about regional identity, as he argues people will be more drawn to the products if they can recognise a shared geographical space. What makes my masthead different from the ones I research on existing regional magazines is the modern font I've chosen and the informal grammar. On my masthead, R Cornwall is all one word with a capital O and C. This feature was used to create a less formal feeling and therefore appealing to a younger target audience. The next thing I worked on was my colour palette. I noticed that a common genre convention of a regional magazine in Cornwall was using natural colour palettes linked to the natural landscape. I followed this convention across my cover, content, double page spread and billboard, as I based my colour palette for my contents, double page spread, billboard and website on sea and landscape colours, while also working in the Cornish flag colours, black and white, in places to reaffirm the regional identity of the magazine with readers. My front cover was more dramatic as I used a sunset image, and this allowed me to use more dramatic, vibrant colours to attract my youth target audience and represent them as fun, which links to Oxford's 1998 theory. I think the black and white worked well for my youth market across all my products, as these colours connote a range of serious and light-hearted stories and represent youth as what Oxford would define as trouble and fun, as these colours are what Baths would call binary opposition. I like the way my colour palette flows across my products, but I particularly like the vibrancy and contrast of the colour palette on my cover. I think the black, orange and white are a creative colour combination that make my magazine stand out as rebellious and different to the competitors, which appeal to my younger target audience who will not want to buy a product that looks too traditional and boring. My layout choices across my products mostly fit the common codes and conventions of any professional regional magazine from my area. For example, on my front cover I have a large dominant masthead which takes up the top quarter of the front cover with a powerful main image that not only will appeal to my target audience but also relates to the region that the magazine is associated with. I have a main article in the so-called sweet spot that relates directly to the main image. There are a further 2 articles positioned in the lower right dead space of the image. All of the text is in a bold and a soft font style that contrasts to make it stand out and add a field of depth to the product as a whole. The layout as a whole also does include some other features that regularly occur on a regional magazine, such as additional content, which means my layout follows similar codes and conventions of a successful lifestyle regional magazine in my area. I think my layout makes the image the key focus on the cover, and I think this works for my audience who will be drawn to the imagery and style of the magazine. After I finished constructing my final front cover, I also put alongside some existing regional magazines in my area to see if their layout looked right for the genre and the target audience. I thought it did because it looked professional but original and fresh, which would make it appealing to my younger target audience, who would be more drawn to it than any of the competing covers. When it came to creating my contents page, I wanted to follow common codes and conventions of a contents page to make sure that it looked professional, but I also wanted to break some conventions in order to ensure my product would clearly appeal and attract to my younger target audience. I chose to adopt a landscape double-page spread theme, which I have only seen in a couple of region magazines and therefore does break some conventions. Although I went for a double-page spread, I still chose a suitable style for my layout, which postponing text inside the dead space to allow it to stand out and also fills up the contents page. The contents page has a vibrant feel to it and also feels very spacious, even though there is a lot of content on it. Although I like all of my layouts, my personal favourite is the contents page, and I think this shows more creativity and will perhaps appeal the most to my target audience. The layout of my double page spread is not too dissimilar to my contents page, as I used a dramatic main coastal image before adding the title and the text. This fits the house style and makes the product flow successfully. I did consider experimenting with some layouts. This would be more suitable for a music magazine youth audience, but after trying some of these out, I decided that they did not work with my story or coastal image. In other words, even though I thought my youth market might like a crazy messy layout, I ultimately decided that this was being stereotypically, and in fact, if they had chosen a regional magazine, they probably would not want the landscape imagery ruined by a layout that did not fit the style of the magazine, as it was too over the top. I kept the layout of my billboard simple too, by having a dramatic landscape sea scene dominating the space, with the magazine name coming out of the landscape, so as not to distract from the image. I hope this would connote my product was part of the county. Having the text coming out of the landscape was a way of creatively breaking some of the more traditional billboard conventions I observed on other professional billboards, and I think this represents my target audience as a different and unique, rather like a film poster in some ways, as my youth market will buy into this. My website follows professional conventions because of the colours and the layout techniques that I use. My audience will like this because it represents them rather than an older age group. My imagery across my product follows regional magazine conventions because the majority of the photographic work is of breathtaking Cornish landscapes, which is exactly what you see throughout the Cornish regional magazines. For example, my cover shot is a medium-long shot of the Cornish coastline at sunset. The image on my contents page is a long shot of another Cornish coastline, but this time during the daytime to make my product look more vibrant. The image on my double page spread is a long shot of the Cornish coastline, following similar themes throughout all my products. The image on my billboard is a medium long shot of St Michael's Mount, glowing in medieval silver thanks to the winter sun on my website, featuring images of a variety of locations around Cornwall, such as Llanidrock, St Michael's Mount, Minack Theatre and many other locations. I decided to stick with tradition and follow conventions with my images because young people in my target audience would be drawn to these creative, breathtaking images, as they show places they know or would want to visit, while also continuing the theme of creating a sense of regional identity with my readers. My typography and lexis across all my products both follows and breaks regional magazine genre conventions. My lexis follows conventions I observed in Cornwall today because I have drawn from the semantic field associated with Cornwall through included Cornish place names in the majority of my stories. However, my lexis breaks conventions as my teasers and articles are more informal than the language you would see in Cornwall today, as I needed to show my product would match the needs of a younger target audience. Also, I used incorrect grammar in terms of capital letters, as I felt my target audience would prefer a more informal, rebellious style. My typography style follows some conventions, as I have used in some Celtic fonts and italic in places, as this is something I saw in Cornwall today. However, I have also selected more modern style for other text. As I said earlier, I have creating text out of an image of my billboard. The subject matter of my double-page spread and website articles follows conventions, as I've written about acting in Cornwall, featuring an interview with a local young actor, but I've made sure my writing style is more suited to my target audience than the articles I analyse in the print and online editions of Cornwall Today. Overall, I believe all my products do follow many genre conventions, regional magazines, but also challenge some in order to reach out to my target audience. Looking at my finished products, I am proud of them and think they look professional. This is a massive improvement on my AS practical work that I was not pleased with. I think one of the reasons why my A2 work looks so much better is that I made a lot of changes and adaptations to my designs and kept referring back to my research into existing products, as well as asking my target audience what worked for them and what did and did not throughout the creative process.